Κάτσε να συμβεί η γυναίκα.
Περίμενε, όχι, θα σου πω πώς είσαι.
Δεν είναι αυτό, δηλαδή, για πες να δοκιμαστεί για ένα δύο.
Δεν θα μιλήσει. Ξέρω, αυτό κύριε.
Έλα. Για πες να πει ένα δύο. Εκτός κάτω εσύ. Για πάμε. Τι να ακούμε τώρα αυτή τη δουλειά.
Λες να κάνει ένα δοκιμαστικό τώρα.
Τώρα τι να ακούμε.
Ακούς.
Μιλάει.
Ωραία.
Την ακούσαμε.
Ωραία, ναι. Όποτε είμαστε έτοιμοι.
Αυτός δεν είναι έτοιμος, παιδιά, να δει κάστα.
Εντάξει, να δει, αφού ξεκινάμε εμείς τους ή άλλους. Δεν ξεκινάμε και χωρίς αυτόν.
Όχι. Θα τον βασάρει κατευθείαν στο τέλος. Τι είναι εδώ.
Ωραία, πες ότι είμαστε έτοιμοι.
We are ready from Greece.
In a couple of minutes. Give us a couple of minutes.
Hello. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are very pleased that we have the honor of hosting you in this event of the Cultural Foundation of the Journalists Union of Athens Daily Newspapers, also broadcast through internet. We have the honor of the presence of His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Armenia, Mr. Armen Sarkisian. After a few short interventions, there will be the possibility of questions posed to His Excellency by the journalists. Many thanks to the representative of the Armenian Council of Greece. We have actually two rooms with journalists attending. We have the President, Mrs. Maria Antoniadou of the Journalists Union, the Vice President, Mr. Alfonsos Vitalis. Many thanks to those who have accepted to intervene on the part of the Greek Parliament. We would like to thank you all very much. I think now we can give the floor to His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Armenia. We welcome you from Athens. We would like to thank you very much indeed for accepting this invitation, Mr. President. The floor is to you.
Well, thank you very much. It's Galimera, I think, and good afternoon. And it's my pleasure to be with you today. Well, I would love to be personally in Athens to see your faces and to have these discussions about future of our relations, about the economic ties, cultural ties, and of course to discuss about years ahead of these two Asian nations that we have lived together and without trouble in a brotherly way for centuries and centuries. But unfortunately today, I have to talk to you, and I think most probably most of your questions will be connected to what's happening now in Artsakh, Nagorno-Karabakh, and the war there, and the fighting, and the casualties, and involvement of Turkey. This is what we have today. And instead of Armenia, and indeed people of Azerbaijan and Turkey fighting coronavirus, thinking about their economic recovery, thinking about how to develop their own countries, take them to the future, we're engaged in a war. And every war is a tragedy, it's a human tragedy. And there is a lot. I think we can speak a lot about many things, but instead of making a statement, since it's a sort of a friendly and informal meeting, I would rather like to start hearing your questions. Maybe you can come up with several questions and I'll try to put them together and answer them. So I would like to start answering your questions, but please give me 1, 2, 3, 4 questions, and then I'll come back to you and I'll start answering them, and that will be my statement as well.
Λοιπόν, είμαστε έτοιμοι. Ευχαριστούμε καταρχήν την αυτοεξοχότητα του Πρόεδρου της Αρμενίας. Σας καλωσορίζω, αγαπητές συναδέλφους και συνάδελφοι. Τρίτη εκδήλωση με διεθνή και διπλωματικά θέματα. Λοιπόν.
1 minute questions will be posed to His Excellency. Mr. Petros Papakonstantinou from Kathimerini. Good morning, Mr. President. How do you think this neo-Ottoman expansionist policy of Tayyip Erdogan could be stopped, as is applied in many countries in the Eastern Mediterranean, in Syria, in Lebanon, etc.?
Thank you. Thank you. What else? Give me a couple of questions.
Good morning, Mr. Excellency. Turkey provides full diplomatic and political support to Azerbaijan, but the Turkish government denies any kind of direct military involvement in the crisis. It also denies accusations that it has brought mercenaries from Syria to Artsakh. On what grounds do you support your relevant allegations against Turkey? And what do you expect from Russia, the European Union, and the United States of America at this critical moment for your nation? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And the third one?
Καλημέρα σας, κύριε Πρόεδρε. Θα ήθελα να σας ρωτήσω αν βλέπετε κάποιες ομοιότητες στην εξωτερική πολιτική της...
Mr. President, do you see any similarities
Και ποιος πιστεύετε πως είναι ο στόχος του κυρίου Ερντογάν?
in the foreign policies of Erdogan's Turkey towards Armenia and Greece? And what do you think is the goal of Mr. Erdogan?
Well, I'll try to answer your questions, and I will start probably somewhere with the third one, similarities and the goals. I do agree that Turkey has quite an destabilizing and expansional policies, and it's not only towards Nagorno-Karabakh or people of and the Republic of Artsakh. It's not only against Armenia, but it's 360 degrees around Turkey, and which includes, of course, also their policies against the Hellenic Republic. And let me put this way: there is a war that started on the 27th of September by Azerbaijan against the Republic of Nagorno-Karabakh or Artsakh and people, Armenians living there. Despite the fact that the first war was over in 1994 and the ceasefire was signed, and the sides went to start a process of peaceful negotiations that was lasting more than 20 years. And that process has shown remarkable successes when out of several hundred of questions negotiated, the sides came to 2 or 3 main important issues that should have been resolved, that needed strong will, political will, and political compromise. So this is where we were several years ago. This is where we were 2 years ago. This is where we were now before the 27th of September. But on the 27th of September, Azerbaijan decided to put aside the peaceful negotiation and what was achieved during these negotiations, and to go ahead with an aggressive behavior and war. And you don't have to be, I think you have to be only blind not to see the full-scale support from Turkey. And I think Turkish support is not only diplomatic or political or rhetorical, although if you take the language of announcements that they come from Turkey, from different high politicians, that language itself is so aggressive, it doesn't leave any space of a doubt that this is not just words. It's more than words. It's not more. It's much more than diplomatic or political support. This is full support, and in fact, Turkey has become a side of a conflict. And I don't have to bring evidences to you because it's absolutely clear that the last several years, every year they had 5-6 military exercises together, not one, not two, but many every year. And Azeri military is dressed and equipped with Turkish equipment and dresses. The officers, starting from generals up to simple instructors and even soldiers, are there on the ground, and they are using Turkish equipment, and that Turkish equipment starts based now in Azerbaijan F-16s of Turkey, and up to artillery and up to drones. And Bayraktar TB2 is something that is used on Nagorno-Karabakh and now on the borders between Armenia and Azerbaijan as well every day. And it's used not only against the military, but it's used against civilians. So that's just introduction to what your question was about. But now it's more deeper. If we look at the Turkish expansion during the last several years and the change of policies, or the policies that were always there the last 10 years of the current regime in Turkey, we can clearly identify that Turkey is trying to create sources of instability all around itself. I think just breaking all of the existing status quo and creating a full field of instability. Why on earth? And what does Turkey has to do? Let's say a couple of years ago in Egypt, what does Turkey has to do in Libya or in Syria or indeed in the Mediterranean, Eastern, and why on earth they have raised the confrontation with Greece, and why on earth they have now become a side of a conflict with Nagorno-Karabakh? And the answer is that let's look one by one their intentions. Let me take one direction or one component of that, and that let me call it energy. It's clear that the last several years Turkey was trying to become an energy hub, the country that is controlling energy flow from Caspian, from Central Asia, from Azerbaijan to the west to Europe. And it's not only just being a part and building a pipeline, Baku-Tbilisi-Ceyhan, and also the gas pipeline, but it's far beyond that. Because they were in discussions with the Russian side of several pipelines, they were in discussions with others, but at the end of the day, what is intact and what is there is the trans-Anatolian and trans-Adriatic one, that will take Azerbaijani or Caspian and further Central Asian gas to Europe, to the southern part of Europe. No other pipelines will be effective there. So somehow, even if there'll be Russian gas coming from the north, that will go through Turkey. Now it's much more complex because becoming a side of the conflict between Nagorno-Karabakh and Azerbaijan and the fight of Azerbaijan against Nagorno-Karabakh, Turkey is physically there in Azerbaijan with the pretext, you name it, I think they come, they're ethnic brothers, they're PKK fighters, I don't know where did they find one even of these fighters, or indeed saying that they are there to protect international logistic pipelines, which is another nonsense, that pipelines are there around 20 years and no one Armenian bullet from Nagorno-Karabakh was shot towards that direction. This as a pretext in order to be there, and not only to be there, to basically control them, and by controlling them, they will have huge influence on policies of Azerbaijan, and basically they will have huge influence on countries of Europe or European Union, and also Central Asia, because they will be the ones that will decide to allow this oil or gas to flow or not. So energy policy of Turkey is clearly there, and they are behaving exactly the same at the Eastern Mediterranean. They are exactly behaving the same way in trying to be present in Persian Gulf. They are playing exactly the same role in Libya with huge resources of hydrocarbons and so on and so forth. So one dimension of their policy is hydrocarbons, and basically it's energy. They would like to be dominant, the main important country that dominates the flow of energy from east, from south, and maybe from north to the southern Europe, and basically put huge pressure and somehow make European Union a hostage of Turkey. Second, I would say is the second dimension, I would call it demography, or to make it simple, refugees. I mean, they have around 4 million refugees, and absolute majority of them is from Syria. First of all, these refugees are creation of the war in Syria, and Turkey is one of those who created the war and pushed the war, and in fact has invaded Syria, and as they have invaded Iraq, and they speak about territorial integrity of Azerbaijan, where they themselves have occupied Syria, occupied Iraq, and they have occupied Cyprus. So how on earth a country that have done so many occupation today and for many years is speaking about that territorial integrity of Azerbaijan is most important? I mean, they don't go together, the words and the deeds. But refugees, demography is another tool in the hands of Turkish foreign policy to put pressure on European Union. And I think it's a fact, European Union has promised is spending around 6 billion euros, and probably it will be much more, in order to keep the refugees on the territory of Turkey. And that's another tool in the hand of Turkish foreign policy in order to have pressure on European Union, and basically, like energy, make Europe another hostage. And Libya has the same. It's not only source of energy, but it's a gate of African refugees. So if Turkey is there, Turkey has something to do with the refugees, that's another threat. They will open the gates and refugees will come to Greece, they will come to Italy, that Italy doesn't like at all, this idea. So demography or refugee is another component of this policy. The other component will be probably, I will say it, Turkey would like to become another regional power, military power. And you can see here, Turkey being a member of NATO, which is amazing, a NATO member state, is involved in Nagorno-Karabakh. What does Nagorno-Karabakh has to do with NATO? In a full war, using NATO-trained operators, using NATO-trained soldiers, using NATO equipment, an equipment that belongs to Turkey, but was created with the help of NATO states. For example, their famous drone, Bayraktar, is a combination of a know-how from different and spare parts from different European countries, starting from Austria up to Britain and Canada. So how on earth NATO is allowing that? But it's a fact. They have gone into partnership with Russia, buying from them for a huge number of money C-400s. Now they are based in the north of Turkey on the Black Sea. And they have invited NATO Secretary General to exercise to show how the Russian anti-aircraft system works. While Turkey, in the same time, has ambitions to extract gas from Black Sea. So military expansion is another dimension. So military expansion, energy, refugees brings to another expansion, which is the political one. And this is where Turkey will use all of that in order to pressure Russia, in order to pressure European Union, and in order to pressure United States, a leading country in NATO and a leading global superpower that has many things to say in the Mediterranean and in the Persian Gulf and in Europe. So that's another one. Now, why Turkey is doing that, you can have, or analysts can come with many theories, and one of them could be probably internal situation in Turkey. If you go back 20 years ago, Turkey's economy was growing very fast. A lot of multinationals were interested in investing in Turkey. But recently, it's the other way around. The multinationals are coming out. The economy is going down, but the nationalism and Islamophobia, pro-Islamic ideas, extreme Islamic ideas, are growing very, very fast. And as a result of that, what we see is Turkey is using Islam as well, and extreme Islam as a tool, again, as a tool in their basket of foreign and internal policy. And that's why we saw Turkey supporting Islamic jihadists in Syria, and that jihadists then were traveling to the same jihadists with the support of Turkey, started traveling to Libya. And now from Libya and Syria, they're traveling to Armenia. And they are, the first Karabakh war, which was early 90s, there were some fighters from Afghanistan, there were some guys from Pakistan and elsewhere. But it's the first time that these Islamist extremist fighters, terrorists, are brought to the region by a state. So it's a state-organized terrorist groups organized by Turkish side. So there's a big difference when there are individual fighters or groups, and there's a big difference when it's organized by a state. So that's another tool, as I said, in the basket of different tools that is used by Turkey. Now, when it comes to Armenia, I think why Turkey is in Azerbaijan, I mentioned several things: bullying the neighbors, bringing Islamic terrorists, creating instability, and that instability will go towards the borders with Russia, towards Iran, tomorrow maybe to Central Asia. But in the case of Armenia, there is also a specific message. Message number one is telling Azeris that well, you couldn't handle this issue with Nagorno-Karabakh. We are here. We don't care that Armenians were living and were a part of Armenia for thousands of years. We are here to do your ethnic cleansing job for you. And the second one is saying, we know how to do it because we did it 105 years ago. At the end of Ottoman Empire in Western Armenia, and that ethnic cleansing ended up with 1.5 million Armenians dead and a huge Armenian diaspora created worldwide. But nobody asks a question. When they ask, some of the Turkish politicians or analysts are saying, where is the evidence of the Armenian genocide? So first of all, there are hundreds and thousands of evidences, from politicians up to ambassadors, up to photos, and so on and so forth. And the simple question should be asked here. First, Armenians were not the only nation that was ethnically cleansed from that territory. What about the Greeks? Second, there were millions of Armenians living in Eastern Anatolia or Western Armenia. They were living also in Istanbul. They were good citizens. I am speaking about the hundreds of thousands only in Istanbul. They were creators of palaces, tradesmen, members of the parliament. They all were killed. And before the First World War, in Los Angeles, in California, there were probably around 10,000, 15,000 Armenians living. Today, only in Los Angeles, it's 1 million of Armenians. Where did they come from? Are there aliens? No. There was the ones that had to run from them home in Turkey. And to end up, some of them in California, some of them in New York, some in Argentina, very big number in Russia, in Middle East, in countries that have Islamic faith, and these people took Armenians as their brothers, like in Egypt, like in Lebanon, like in Iraq, and many other countries of the Persian Gulf. So this is what we face today. And what we have to do, and I'm directly addressing to all of our colleagues, starting from international organizations, starting from United Nations. Today, there will be a meeting at the Security Council of the United Nations. It will be closed, and permanent members will be there. And I'm addressing and I'm asking those who are attending that meeting to come out from that meeting with clear understanding of the conflict, and also with clear announcement, basically stopping the war there, clear and very strong announcement that ceasefire is absolutely necessary, and a strong message towards Turkey, get out from that conflict. This is what I expect from United Nations. And I expect also from NATO to make it clear that you cannot be a member of an organization that has completely different goals that were announced worldwide when it was created and behave like a cowboy in Caucasus and elsewhere. That's another thing. And from the 3 leading members or the co-chairs of the Minsk group, the message is clear. Let's get rid of Turkish involvement in the conflict, have a ceasefire, and bring back the sides, which is Azeri side, and Republic of Artsakh or Nagorno-Karabakh back to the negotiating table. Negotiating table of one of the most prestigious organizations, OSCE, Minsk group, and with the co-chairs. And you cannot find anything better than that. United States, France, and Russia. This is the message to everybody. And please remember that people in Nagorno-Karabakh, in Republic of Artsakh, are fighting for their homes. They are fighting for their heritage. They are fighting for the land that they used to live for thousands of years. They are fighting for their Christian faith. They are fighting for the future of their children, for the simple human right that European Union has recognized, that a nation can have a right of deciding to run their own future, like it happened in several parts of Europe recently. But also remember that these people fighting in Nagorno-Karabakh, for Nagorno-Karabakh, for everything that is human and valuable for them, they're also fighting for the securities of Europe. They are fighting for energy security. They are fighting for demographic or security of Europe. They are fighting for basically protecting and trying to do something from the political, military, and other risks that are coming from Turkey. This is just a simple, probably, answer that I tried to put together out of your three questions.
Λοιπόν, πάμε πολύ γρήγορα. Ο Φώτης ο Κωστόπουλος από το κανάλι της Βουλής. Ο κύριος Κουσουλάκης από το παρασκήνιο δεν είναι εδώ. Η κυρία Αλεξάνδρα Φωτάκη από τα Νέα. Και θα κλείσουμε με ένα συνάδελφο από την Αρμενία, τον Εκιζιάν Κερόπο από την Αζά Τόρο. Λοιπόν, έλα Φώτη.
Κύριε Πρόεδρε, γεια σας. Φώτης Κωστόπουλος από το τηλεοπτικό σταθμό της Βουλής των Ελλήνων. Θα ήθελα ένα σχόλιο σας αναφορικά με τη στάση της Ρωσίας απέναντι στις τουρκικές προκλήσεις και ποιο πιστεύετε τελικά ότι θα είναι το μέλλον του Ερντογάν και της εξωτερικής πολιτικής της Τουρκίας. Θεωρείτε ότι θα καταφέρει να πετύχει τους στόχους του ή το αντίθετο? Ευχαριστώ.
Λοιπόν, επόμενος γρήγορα. Ο κύριος Κουσουλάκης δεν είναι, Αλεξάνδρα. Είναι ο κύριος Αλεξάνδρα Φωτάκη από τα Νέα.
Κύριε Πρόεδρε, θα ήθελα να ρωτήσω εάν η Ελλάδα πρότεινε στην Ευρωπαϊκή Ένωση να επιβάλλει εμπάργκο όπλων στην Τουρκία. Θεωρείτε ότι τέτοια μέτρα θα ήταν μια απαραίτητη κίνηση από την Ευρώπη και κατά πόσο θα έπρεπε να ληφθούν και άλλα μέτρα ενάντια της Τουρκίας με δεδομένες τις κινήσεις της και στην Ανατολική Μεσόγειο τελευταία διάστημα?
Και κλείνουμε με τον κύριο Εκιζιάν Κερόπο από την Αζά Τόρο.
Παρήγε Σόρμπαρο Ναχακά. Την πρώτη μέρα του πολέμου στο Αρτσάχ, η αρμενική διασπορά έχει κινητοποιηθεί αποτελεσματικά σε διάφορα επίπεδα που ήδη βρήκαν αντίκτυπο στη διεθνή κοινή γνώμη. Ως εφημερίδα της διασποράς, θα θέλαμε να μας αναπτύξετε τις προσδοκίες σας σχετικά με τις περαιτέρω κινήσεις της οργανωμένης διασποράς για την υποστήριξη του δίκαιου ζητήματος των Αρμενίων στον Ναγκόρνο Καραμπάχ σχετικά 1. Με την εμπλοκή και τον αποσταθεροποιητικό ρόλο που παίζει η Τουρκία στην περιοχή, την του άμεσου τερματισμού του πολέμου και 3. Με την διεθνή αναγνώριση της ανεξαρτησίας του Αρτσάχ.
This is all fine, but somebody has to translate it to me. I can manage myself in a nice Greek restaurant, but not answering political questions in Greek.
Your
so somebody has
Excellency,
to translate it to me.
From the first day of the war in Artsakh, the Armenian diaspora has been mobilized effectively on various levels, which has already had an impact on international public opinion. As a newspaper of the diaspora, we would like to hear your expectations regarding further steps of the organized diaspora for the support of the just cause of the Armenians in Nagorno-Karabakh, in view of 1. The direct involvement and the destabilizing part played by Turkey in the wider region. 2. In the direction of the immediate termination of the war. And 3. The international recognition of the independence of Artsakh.
Okay. What about the other two questions? There were another two questions before?
From Mrs. Fotaki from Tanea.
Yes.
You see Russia and Turkey relations through the lens of the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict, and what is your position on the proposal of Greece that EU should impose an embargo on arms sales to Turkey? Do you think any additional measures should be enforced at the expense of Turkey? And the first question was from Mr. Kostopoulos from the Greek Parliament TV channel. Who asks, how do you assess the stance of Russia to Turkish provocations? And what do you believe the future of Erdogan and of Turkey will be if it continues behaving like the bully of the neighborhood?
Well, I'll try and I'll be short because it looks like we don't have much time because I have another meeting and then another interview. And although even it's 24 hours of working, it's never enough. I'll start with our fellow Armenian question about the diaspora. I take this opportunity to thank as the President of Republic, all Armenians worldwide, from Latin America, United States, up to Middle East, Europe, Russia, up to Singapore. I think their behavior is fantastic. We saw yesterday in California with the visit of President Trump. We see them everywhere. And I take this opportunity of thanking all of them. And the message to diaspora is simple. It's not even a message. I know why our friends and brothers and sisters from diaspora, for them it's so sensitive. It's not only it's their homeland. It's not only Nagorno-Karabakh is another piece of Armenian land and history and heritage and culture, but also the fact that the involvement of Turkey here completely changes the situation. Because for every Armenian today, even though those who are 16 years old, and it doesn't matter where they live on this planet, for them, any involvement in a war against Armenians by Turkey reminds you automatically the genocide. And this is something that the whole nation cannot accept. No more again. And I think I would like to remind that Armenia is maybe a small state. It's much bigger than Republic of Artsakh or Nagorno-Karabakh, but it's in a 3.5 million state. But we are a global nation, and the number of Armenians worldwide is several times bigger than Republic of Armenia. So thank you again, our brothers and sisters. And of course, your help in any way, any form is highly appreciated. But we are all, you, us, and people in Artsakh, we are victim, historic, and today, in reality, of genocide against Armenians. And that genocide, again, is pushed by Turkey. Now, coming back about recognition of Republic of Artsakh, Armenians, especially in Artsakh, have shown several specific cultural and human behavior. Let me give you one. Armenia as a state has not recognized until today the independence of Nagorno-Karabakh because it gave a chance to the peace process that started with the first ceasefire signed in 1994 to succeed. And we said, we will not recognize it. Let's negotiate, and whatever the negotiations will bring up to a final solution, that will be it. So we'll not like to undermine the peace process by recognition of Nagorno-Karabakh. But if this story continues and will not see that Azerbaijan is ready to come back to the table of negotiations, then Armenia will not have any other chance to recognize it and to ask all of their Armenians friends and Armenians friends to do the same thing. That's the answer to that question. Now, the proposal that came from Greece about embargo on selling arms from European Union and NATO countries to Turkey is absolutely logical. Well, if these arms that are sold to Turkey were used against aggressor, terrorists, international terrorists, Islamic terrorists, I would have understood. But when there are used precise weapons that have origin in the countries that come from origin, or the spare parts are originating from countries of NATO, and they are targeting civilians in Nagorno-Karabakh, well, that's unacceptable. So I think if this idea or the move towards NATO and European Union will be supported by other countries, Armenia will basically give its applause and thanks to those who are doing that. And Turkish behavior, I think you can judge on Turkish-Russian relations. I think Turkey is so unpredictable, so modern in the sense of unpredictability, so unstable its behavior, and so unstable in its relations and its partnerships and so on and so forth. I'm not going to analyze Turkish-Russian relations, but you have seen in recent years how what sort of evolutions they were having, going up, going down, going up, going down, and so on. And I leave that to colleagues in Russia to do their evaluation and to come to their own conclusions. Today it's clear that Russia's economic interests in Turkey have been declined tremendously. Even Gazprom is selling much more less gas than it was doing, let's say, even 3-4 years ago. And military cooperation. Well, Turkey is not connected or to bound. They can buy S-400s from Russia, and yesterday they can sign with Ukraine and to upgrade for exactly the same Bayraktar. And God knows how this new drone is going to be used and where it is going to be used with a powerful engine, let's say, from Ukraine that will make this drone another weapon that can carry 2 times more deadly weapons and rockets than it's carrying today. And will it be used only against Armenians or only against Syrians or maybe against someone else? I'll leave that to you and to your judgment. Thank you very much.
Εξοχότατε κύριε Πρόεδρο, εκ μέρους του Ενώσεως Συντακτών Ημερησίων και του Μορφωτικού Ιδρύματος.
As on the part of the Journalists Union, Your Excellency, it's Mrs. Maria Antoniadou, the President speaking. We would like to thank you very much for your presence here. There are a few short greetings that we would like to address to you. Thank you very much for answering our questions. First, Mr. Vasilis Vasilikos, journalist, writer, and member of the Greek Parliament. We are closely connected with the Armenian family. We all remember poems by Armenian poets ever since the 1950s, which have been translated into Greek. Speaking of similar agricultural experiences, for example, of the two peoples, taking care of their lands, of their going about their activities in brotherhood. That was an Armenian poem translated by Mr. Vasilis Vasilikos, whom we thank very much for his presence.
And I would like to thank you. Please, go ahead.
Your Excellency.
Yes. Yes, please.
As president of the Greek Armenian friendship in the Greek Parliament, Mr. Markopoulos, member of the Greek Parliament, we would like to extend our warmest wishes from the Greek Parliament that this difficult situation be resolved. We have grown up side by side with Armenian friends, and we understand the common denominator of Turkish provocativeness. So we wish you peace, and we pray that soon the Armenian Republic may resolve this situation, as it is considered a model of democratic institutions in Caucasus, unlike Azerbaijan, regarding the quality of democracy. We wish you a good fight and courage in your endeavors. We would like to thank the president of the Armenian community of Greece for his cooperation, the colleagues who have come here to listen to you, Your Excellency, and Mrs. Paraskevopoulou, who presented the event, and is the journalist of the Central News casting of the Greek TV public channel. We would like to thank you very much, Mr. President.
Well, thank you very much. I would like to thank everybody present there. I would like to thank the Union of Journalists. I would like to thank my fellow Armenian brothers and sisters. I would like to thank the Greek Parliament and the Greek government and every Greek soul, every Greek citizen, and every Greek who is not citizen of Hellenic Republic but lives worldwide that is supporting the Armenian cause. And I would like to say that unlike some of our neighbors, we too have gone thousands of years of ancient history together, and I'm sure that we will overcome today's difficulties and will continue going and creating peace, creating culture, and wherever we are, be that in Artsakh, even restoring a mosque that was in Shushi together with the church. And today, a week ago, the Azeri side bombarded the church in a city where Armenians restored the mosque. So, but our partnership and our friendship is for ages and ages and ages, and I'm looking forward working together with you. And I thank the Greek government and the parliament and all politicians for the full support. I was happy to meet here in Yerevan a couple of days ago, your foreign minister. We had very constructive discussions. And let me say, Evcharisto Poli, and have a good day.
Good day. Thank you. Ευχαριστούμε, συνάδελφοι. Ελπίζουμε να φύγει καλά.